British Columbia planning to sue the company behind the ChatGPT app over the deadly Tumbler Ridge mass shooting. That's what we heard from Attorney General Niki Sharma yesterday, making the announcement. And Niki Sharma is joining us on the line right now to talk more about this. Hello, how are you?
Nice to be here.
Well, thank you so much for kind of unpacking this a little bit. But first off, just I guess that's the main part of the announcement. But tell us more about what is going to be happening and what the government is pursuing.
Yeah, so we are coordinating with the families that have commenced a lawsuit. So we've hired counsel in BC and in California, where OpenAI is headquartered. And we're pursuing our legal options against them through those legal counsel. So there's a couple things that I think are the heart of my concern and why we decided to take these steps. Is the first one is that we want to do everything we can to make sure that what happened in Tumbler Ridge doesn't happen again, and that makes all sources of accountability. And accountability is an important part of finding, getting to resolution and figuring out how to make sure it doesn't happen again. The other part is the concern that I think we all had when we heard that there was a group of staff people that were the human safety monitors that were monitoring the perpetrator and the conversations with the chatbot. And we're so concerned that they went to their the heads up and said, we think they should be reported to the police, and that didn't happen. So the idea that this could have been prevented is something that I think sits with all of us, and it's the reason that we decided that we needed to pursue our legal options.
So is part of it to try to get monetary compensation, but also to try to affect change within companies like this? So kind of double-edged purpose?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. We've taken on litigation before where we're to recover on behalf of the public, really when taxpayers have to step up to pay for things that are corporate wrongdoing. It's a model that we really lead in BC to take on, the corporations when they have a role to play that we've had to pay for.
But on the monetary side, you are suing for money, and part of it would be to pursue damages, including the costs of building a new school in Tumbler Ridge. Is that what you're hoping to get out of this as well?
That's right. That's a part of it. That's right.
And what's the case based on? Is it just simply saying, hey, you were liable because you were involved in this, or what's the argument that the government's going to be making?
Yeah, it's based on what I was talking about before, the fact that the chatbot, the conversations with the perpetrator were so alarming that there was information inside the company that didn't lead to any type of reporting or safety, and that it could have prevented the tragedy. And that makes it something that sits with us, right, about the fact that what is the role that this chatbot has had in what happened, and could it have been prevented?
Now, you mentioned that BC has retained legal counsel based in California. Talk more about how this works, how it works for a Canadian province to sue an American company based in California. What does the process look like for this?
Yeah, so we have counsel in BC and in California, and it's similar to what the families did. OpenAI is headquartered in California, so this type of cross-border lawsuits or legal action is part of that, right? Like where the company's headquartered and bringing the fight to them, really, essentially in the courts there. So at this stage, we're considering what the legal options might be or how we might pursue it, but it really is also and coordinating with the families that have done that.
And you've mentioned as well that there's also the families involved in these pursuits. How does the government one and the individual one from the families involved in Tumbler Ridge, how did those two cases work together, or are they separate? Or talk about that aspect of it.
We're coordinating because, of course, the families, it's important that they made the choice to seek legal remedies from OpenAI, and we support them. And so we've been coordinating with them, but they are separate in terms of the fact that they're pursuing damages for their losses, and their severe losses, right? Loss of a child and other impacts to kids that were part of that. So they've filed it separately, but we are coordinating with them.
We did see the OpenAI CEO, his name is Sam Altman. He actually came out and made a public apology back closer to the events themselves. Does that play into this at all? Is that used as like an admission of guilt of any kind, or does that factor into it?
You know what? Not in my mind. I don't think it was. It's it's good that he felt the need to apologize, and that's not the reason that we would look at legal options, in my view, anyway. It's about the actions that occurred before the incident happened, and what actions that OpenAI did take or did not take before that could have prevented the harm done, and how do we make sure this doesn't happen again.
Niki, a question about ChatGPT and the larger picture of children's safety. The importance of getting this right and the actions the province takes on this because it's such a bigger scope that we're dealing with here when it comes to safety, online safety.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. We've been really fighting for federal legislation, for actual laws that make these platforms accountable and make them enforceable on them. No company should be bigger than safety, and somebody needs to represent the public interest in this space. And I've heard far too many stories of parents that have been impacted from lack of safety online, and up to a tragedy where it's the biggest tragedy we've had in this province, where children died. And so it's something that is bigger than just the province of BC, but at the same time, we're not scared to take on these big companies. What's right is right, and it's my job as Attorney General to meet them in court when something has happened and the public interest and public safety has been breached. We've done that with the opioid companies. We've done that with big tobacco, and we'll do that with any company where we've suffered, the people of British Columbia have suffered, and there's some kind of accountability there that needs to be sought.
Well, it sounds like you might actually be answering our listener question here, but I just want to close with a text from a listener at 71010 that says, "Good morning, Ryan and Lisa. If there's time, here's a question for the Attorney General. If using a general purpose technology makes a company liable for a criminal's actions, then why stop at OpenAI? Why not sue Google or internet providers or browser companies too? Criminals have long used search engines and the internet to find information." What's your response to our listener concern there?
Yeah, I mean, technology is changing very rapidly, and it's changing without any safeguards or legislative safeguards in place. AI chatbots are not search engines. They're very different, and the power and the technology that they have, and they sound very likable, right? They sound like they're your friend. And the harm that does, and we've heard repeated lawsuits. There's a kid in the States whose family has suffered from losing him because of the conversations with a chatbot. And so these are not your search engines. There's something very different about this technology. And I want to make sure that what happened in Tumbler Ridge never happens again. If something about that chatbot and the perpetrator led to what happened, then we need to pursue accountability, and we need to make sure things change.
Niki Sharma is BC's Attorney General. That's what the government is pursuing when it comes to legal action against OpenAI over the links to the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting. We'll follow it, but we'll leave it there for now. Thank you for spending some time with us this morning.
Yeah.